let's now look at what is a project and how projects leads to operations. People tend to confuse between a project and operations. So let's look at from a definition perspective, and let's look at some of the examples of a project and operations as such. So what's a project? Project is a temporary endeavor undertaken to create a product, service, or a result. And this definition, of course, is provided by PMI, the Project Management Institute. Yeah, it needs to be a temporary endeavor. That means when you say something is temporary, there need to be a definite start date and there need to be an end date. You need to say that I'll be starting the project on 15th January, and yes, you need to have a project plan, and then only you can track it, and you say that okay, it's going to end by September 15th. From Jan to September, something like a 9 months project. You need to have a project plan, and once you get into the execution of the project, you need to track according to the whether it is going according to the plan. If not, yes, there need to be a corrective actions to be taken place. So temporary does not mean short in duration or product or services created or temporary. The product should not be temporary. The services should not be temporary. That means there is an implied meaning as well. So this product, after being developed, it goes into the operations or it gets serviced, and that is where the maintenance services comes through. If you look at an example, enterprise resource planning, that is an ERP software implementation project as such, you need to configure the product, and once it is configured, the end user use that product, and no longer it is considered as a project. It is year in and year out, multiple years they'll be using the same product for how many ever years. Maybe it is maybe for 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, and then they could replace it, upgrade it, and then again it becomes another project. So the underlying point is the product and services is not temporary. That will be kind of a permanent one. And non-routine tasks are involved. Meaning, you will need to assign specific consultant for the specific task at certain period of time, and some points they may not be used at all. For example, yes, if it is an enterprise resource planning project, the functional consultant will be used at specific point of time. Technical consultant could be used at a specific point of time. And similarly, if it is an house construction or a building construction, during the building outer, or if you're going to have the foundation done, concrete, flooring is done, walls are done, that point of time, interior work, the electrical panel fixing, electrical wiring will never happen. It is only at certain stage after completion of the walls, the ceilings, the electric wiring has to be taken, internal has to be taken. So these are non-routine tasks which needs to be happen at a certain point of time, and work carried out in phases like initiation, planning, execution, control, and closing. We'll see that as we progress. So this is as far as the definition perspective. These are the definitions for a project. An example is the construction of a residential complex, power plant, construction of a airport, and this will be interesting as well, like a new model automobile. Initially, when a new model automobile is designed, it will be taken as a project. You design a new model, and once the model is accepted by the, say for example, it is accepted by the stakeholders, then you roll out into a product as such. You repeatedly manufacture the same automobile again and again. Similarly, it Could be an ERP implementation project. It will be a project initially, and after that, the same product will be used over the years, and that is where it becomes a maintenance activity, and that is where it termed as an operation task. Let us now quickly look at what is an operations. So as we discussed, project is something like you need to have a start date, end date. So whereas in operations, it's an ongoing execution of activities one after the another in a defined pattern. So in order to produce some product or results, or it could be a service. So you need to keep repeating the same process and again. For example, car manufacturing, or you can even talk about even one can talk about the production, manufacturing, accounting process or example of operations, because it is keep repeating unless you want to refine it, you want to change it, then that can be taken as a project and you might refine it or redefine it so that it becomes much more efficient or effective. So the point to note here is operation do not produce new things. This is quite important. It doesn't produce new things, but they are necessary to maintain and sustain the system. Operations are different from the project, which are known for that uniqueness. So once it becomes unique is where the project is all about. Once it becomes unique, you need to maintain that uniqueness. That is where the operations could take over. Operations are permanent and their only constraint is to make a profit for the organization. But again, this could be slightly dicey. Like there are organizations which could do only projectized organization, which could do for the profit motive alone. Whereas there could be another organization which they want to produce something, they want to produce an automobile vehicle or some a smartphone. The model is where is initially project. Once that model is out, they have defined that model, then it will go into an operation where they repetitively produce the same model of computer or same model of smartphone again and again. So that's about the operation.